You know the kind of guy who does nothing but bad things and then wonders why his life sucks? That was me. Every time something good happened to me, some bad was always waiting around the corner. Karma. That's when I realized I had to change. So I made a list of everything bad I'd done, and one by one I'm gonna make up for all my mistakes. I'm just trying to be a better person. My name is Ramen. Karma, a belief that if you do good things happen, and if you do bad things happen. All my life I have followed these beliefs, for better or worse. Hello amigos, Ramen coming at ya. And today we're gonna talk about my favorite show, My Name is Earl. A show that takes those beliefs of karma to create a show full of moments of happiness and comedy. So get ready to write a list full of all the bad things you did. And don't forget to make your thinking face. And let's dive into My Name is Earl. Movies, games, cartoons, sitcoms. They're all things I enjoy. My name is Ramen. I'm here to have fun and look back at something old and new, while being a total goofball in the process. If it's good or bad, I'll be there with a smile on my face and a blue donut on my shirt. Are you ready? My Name is Earl was a sitcom that was produced by Greg Garcia. Greg Garcia worked on many shows, including Family Matters, The Millers, and he was also a consulting producer on Family Guy. My Name is Earl aired on NBC September 20th, 2005 to May 14th, 2009. My Name is Earl ended after 4 seasons on a cliffhanger. We were supposed to get a season 5 where Earl was supposed to complete everything on his list, but season 5 was cancelled. At first, My Name is Earl was pitched to Fox, but Fox passed on it. Probably for the better. Fox loves to cancel their shows. My Name is Earl was then pitched to NBC. NBC agreed to create a pilot for the show if a good cast could be assembled. Jason Lee was approached for the lead role, but Jason Lee was uninterested in working in television and passed on the role twice. Later on, Jason Lee agreed to read the pilot script. Jason Lee was still hesitant to commit until he met Garcia. The meeting went very well. That soon after, Jason Lee was cast and everything fell into place. And we got the amazing cast we know and love. We got Jason Lee as Earl Hickey. We also got Ethan Suplee as Randy Hickey, which FYI, this is Ethan Suplee now. That's what I call a final form. We then got Nadine Velasquez as Catalina, Jamie Presley as Joy Turner, and last but not least, playing the crab man himself, Edley Stillpless. I hope I'm saying that name right. After stealing $10 from a guy at Camden Market, Earl uses that money to buy a lottery ticket. After scratching the ticket, Earl screams as Earl has just won $100,000. Earl is then hit by a car and loses the lottery ticket. While Earl is lying in the hospital bed, a TV comes on to an episode of A Little Late with Carson Daly. Carson talks about the ideas of karma, which is the belief that if you do good things happen, and if you do bad things happen. After Earl hears what Carson Daly has to say, Earl adopts a belief in karma, leading him to create a list of all the bad things he's ever done. After Earl does list item number 64, picked on Kenny in school, Earl believes that if he does the list, he'll probably get good from karma. For anybody wondering how this episode goes, Earl helps Kenny James get laid, then by giving him some confidence. But after discovering Kenny has men magazines, Randy and Earl run away. Earl is then hit by Joy. Earl believes that it's karma for not helping Kenny. So Earl goes back and helps Kenny by taking him to a gay bar. And Kenny thanks Earl for giving him the confidence he needs. Kenny allows Earl to cross him off his list. Now each episode of My Name is Earl is unique, but the premise is the same. Earl completes a task to get some crossed off his list, then by getting that good feeling. Simple enough. After completing number 64 on Earl's list, Earl's lottery ticket comes back. Earl then cashes the money and uses it to cross things off his list. Throughout the many list items that Earl has completed, we meet really interesting side characters like Ralph Marino. Ralph is a former stealing partner of Earl. He did become that way because of Earl, but most of the time we are told backstory. These backstories is really interesting as we get flashbacks to Earl's childhood. We get these little flashbacks through the span of 4 seasons. These flashbacks are amazing as they do establish early on Randy and Earl were both troublemakers. So how do Ralph and Earl become friends? Well, Earl helps Ralph get a gumball out of a machine with a baseball bat. From there, the two become best friends. Earl, Joy, Ralph, and Randy were pretty much full-time criminals. Ralph will appear in 3 seasons. Each season, Ralph will appear as crazy and juvenile as he was before. We also have side characters like Dodge Jr. and Earl Jr. Earl Jr. is Joy's and some unknown man's son. Well, for most of the show, we were to believe the Crab Man was the father. That is not true, as the father is still unknown. And a rumor season 5 was supposed to reveal who the father was, but thanks to NBC, we never got it. It is revealed in the last episode of season 4, as we find Joy on Halloween had sex with a man in a skeleton costume. That man happened to be Earl. The show also has some pretty obscure and weird side characters like TV's Tim Stacks, who's a washed up celebrity in the show, and he's pretty much drunk all the time. We also have Patty the daytime hooker, who's, well, a daytime hooker, and her mother is a crazy witch. Don't worry, Earl had Crazy Witch Lady on his list. That list item caused Earl and his friends to get kidnapped and almost killed, but the Crazy Witch Lady was sent to a mental hospital, so it all worked out. We also have the most obscure character in My Name is Earl. He appeared in every single episode of My Name is Earl. He's pretty much a recurring character on the show, but not a main character. That is Nescabar Aluplup. Earl met Nescabar Aluplup by completing list item number 27, made fun of funny people with accents. So to make up for this list item, Earl teaches a speaking English class, and who happens to attend? Nescabar Aluplup. Throughout this episode, Earl is kidnapped by Ralph, and Ralph pretends to be Earl to steal Earl's money. Earl's English-speaking group finds Earl and Randy tied up. How, you ask? Well, Earl taught his group where'd he live, and thank God, because without that, Earl and Randy would be killed. Earl and Randy believe Karma sent his group to save him. Hey, Karma works in mysterious ways, maybe they did. While My Name is Earl has amazing side characters, its main characters is what makes the show so fun to watch. So let's talk about our main. Earl is the main character. Earl is pretty much the driving force of the show. The more Earl crosses stuff off his list, the more Earl is one step closer to becoming a good person. All thanks to Karma. Randy is a dim-witted brother of Earl and helps cross stuff off his list. Randy is also on Earl's list. Randy may be stupid, but there are some times when Randy really comes through for Earl in the most unexpected ways. You can't help but not love Randy. Randy's upbeat and positive personality is what makes this duo work. You also can't beat Randy's smile. Catalina is a Mexican immigrant who had a pretty messed up childhood. She works as a maid in the motel Randy and Earl live in. She's also a stripper at Club Chubby, run by Burt Reynolds, who later dies and is then run by Little Chubby, played by freaking Norm Macdonald. FYI, Norm Macdonald nails his Burt Reynolds impression. Just saying.
Hey, Randy, there's a spot on your shirt.
I'm not looking down. I'm not falling for that again.
Come on, look at it. There'll be a lot of laughs. All right, fine, you win.
You mess with me.
Come on, Earl, get your ear pierced. You know? Then we can be earring buddies.
Earrings aren't really my thing, LC.
So what you're saying is you think earrings look stupid.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I like earrings.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying.
Little Chubby, what are you doing?
Let's take a look. Oh, you're right. It does look stupid.
Catalina also gets a main story in the second season of My Name is Earl. Catalina gets deported to Mexico, leading Randy and Earl to go find her. Earl and Randy figure out in order for Catalina to stay in America, Randy must marry Catalina to get her green card. Catalina is very vital to the show and serves as somewhat of a voice of reason for Earl and Randy in her own weird way. Now, Crabman goes by many names. Crabman, Darnell, and his real name, Harry Monroe. Harry Monroe can speak English, French, Russian, Hebrew, Arabic. Harry Monroe is also a virtual cellist, can identify 254 types of cheeses by taste alone, and he's also a black belt. Harry might be dumb at first glance, but he's very intelligent. In season 4, the stakes are raised, as Harry's cover is blown by witness protection, leading Joy, Darnell, and the kids to move away. The family does return after Darnell agrees to do one last job with his dad. Despite Darnell being so gifted at a lot of things, he's still a loving husband to Joy and a good father to her kids. Then we have Joy, the ex-wife of Earl and the mother of Dodge and Earl Jr. In the earlier seasons of My Name is Earl, Joy felt like she was owed half the lottery winnings. Heck, in the very first few episodes of My Name is Earl, she pretty much becomes the antagonist. She pretty much would do anything to steal Earl's money. She even made poison cookies. After Earl helps Joy with her wedding, she kinda develops a heart, and they develop this great friendship. Joy may be portrayed as an alcoholic, very mean-spirited sometimes, but the one thing Joy is a mother and a wife to Darnell. Joy also helps Earl cross stuff off his list. Now that's what I call an awesome ex-wife. So Earl's list can be very complicated to understand. Heck, I have to watch every episode of My Name's Earl over and over again to make sure I got every detail right. So, in this small portion, I'll break down the list and its many factors. Ready? Let's get into it. Let's start with completed list items. These are items that Earl has completed. Each item is marked with a specific number and is picked randomly by Earl or Randy. We also have small list items like stole various snacks from the vending machine, or stole drinks from a local quick stop. Or we also have big list items, like made a kid scared of the boogeyman. Now, there were times in the show where Earl was never the reason for the list item. That's where we have the absolve list. Now, there are only 2 absolve list items, like made a wish and threw a penny into a guy's throat hole, and being mean to a crazy witch. Sometimes Earl will add stuff to the list for problems he might have caused, or things he wants to do to help that person. These are called unnumbered list items. These are items like broke Dodge's and Earl's Christmas bikes and pulled pranks on Randy. This list format is very complicated to understand, so I'm gonna have to explain season 3. In season 3 of My Name is Earl, Earl takes the fall for a crime Joy committed. Earl is then sent to prison. Season 3 also went through the effort of changing the intro to fit the vibe of the season, which is a nice touch.
You know the kind of guy who confesses to a crime he didn't commit so his ex-wife won't have to go to prison? The kind of guy who leaves his brother all alone and his friends with nothing to jump for? Well, that's me. And for the next 2 years, my name is inmate number 28301-016.
While in prison, Earl creates a pillow list. The pillow list is a list of all the minor things Earl did while he was in prison. Stuff like looked the other way while somebody was being stabbed, and made Frank's girl dump him. Throughout the show, Earl has pretty much made a difference in everyone's life. But I think season 3 and 4 do mark a turning point for Earl's character. What do I mean by that? Well, in season 3, after Earl is broken out of prison by his friends, he starts to doubt the power of karma, because nothing good has happened to him since he made that list. Earl then decides to give up being good and reverts back to his old ways. Earl is then hit by a car driven by Billy, a girl that Earl met while he was doing one of his list items. After Billy gets out to check who she hit, she is then hit by a car too. Earl is then stuck in a coma where he imagines his life with Billy as a sitcom. This coma scene is shot really well, as we get a little glimpse of what Earl and Billy's relationship would look like if there were couples in a weird sitcom that also has an intro. After Earl wakes up from his coma, he then has a wedding with Billy. Earl believes Billy is his gift from karma. Billy likes the idea of karma, and with that, she makes her own list. Earl and Billy start helping people out, but it doesn't turn out like the way you think. I'm gonna say this, out of all the relationships Earl has had throughout the show, Billy was my favorite. At first glance, they're shown to have great chemistry until Billy starts to become too much for Earl. Earl then believes that if he starts crossing women that he wronged off his list, Billy will be much nicer. But then, Billy being Billy, gives Earl an ultimatum. His list or her. Earl, believing if he crosses more things off his list, Billy will be nicer, chooses his list. Billy then steals Earl's list and undoes everything Earl has worked really hard for. After Earl chases Billy, Billy then escapes to Candlelight Village. Billy hides from the police where she can never be caught. Soon after Billy was discovered by the Candlelights, Billy learns about sharing and hard work and being a good person. Billy then finds Earl and gives him his list back and $7,500 to cross more stuff off his list. Billy leaves with a goodbye kiss and we get this great line from her.
Thanks, Earl.
What's this?
Maybe karma didn't want me to be your reward, but it still wanted you to have one. Do good thing.
That line is one of the reasons why I love Billy. She was portrayed to be a female Earl at first, but Billy, just like Earl, believed in karma, and she believed in Earl's cause to do good things. Season 4 was the last season, but it's by far my favorite season. This season we learn more about Darnell, and we learned that he was a spy, whose real name is Harry Monroe. Joy in Season 4 is my favorite, as we see her going through witness protection for Darnell because she loves Darnell and would do anything for him. As much as I love Billy and Earl, Darnell and Joy were my favorite couple in the show. They pretty much complete each other. Season 4 had some of my favorite specials, one being Inside Probe 1 and Inside Probe 2. These episodes are pretty much a parody of those news documentaries, even down to the weird host who's not bothered by how weird Camden is. So Inside Probe is an entire documentary uncovering who killed Crab Shack owner Ernie. We got a lot of good moments in this episode, but my favorite moment is Randy's fish wing moment. You're gonna have to watch for yourself.
Bad things will happen if fish wings aren't served every day. What kind of bad things will happen, Randy?
I don't know. People will be angry. Fish wings are great. The only bad part is sometimes the real chewy pieces get stuck in your teeth, which wouldn't even be a problem if they still offer free toothpicks, but no! Ernie got rid of the toothpicks because he said people were just using them to poke each other. But what he didn't realize is that some of us are using them to get stuff out of our teeth before we poked each other. Now we're have to poke each other with our fingers while we got fish wings stuck in our teeth. Damn it! Why are you making me relive this again?
I give credit to Ethan Suplee for giving us so many amazing comedic bits. With Randy, you know the scene's gonna be a hit. Now, I'm not gonna spoil the ending to this 2-part episode, so you're just gonna have to watch for yourself. If I had to choose one of my all-time favorite episodes of My Name is Earl, is the Season 4 episode titled Pinky. In this episode, Earl crosses 3 things off his list: never took the time to teach Randy how to blow a bubble, broke up Randy and Pinky, and broke up Dodge and Tiffany. So the episode, Earl helps Randy find out who Pinky is, and surprise, surprise, it's Joy. So you're probably wondering how Earl broke up Randy and Joy. Well, one summer while Randy was off hanging out with Pinky, Earl got angry because Randy wasn't helping him with his obese aunt. Earl then decides to write a note to Pinky saying Randy wants to break up with her. Then Earl does the same thing to Dodge's girlfriend. In order for Earl to make it up to Randy, Earl finds Pinky, and I already told you the shock, it happens to be Joy. We also get a flashback of Joy's famous catchphrase, "all snap." Joy then decides to go and redo that date that they never had that one summer. Joy, who is hesitant, tries to rush through the date, but Joy, seeing how much she meant to Randy, decides to go along with it. and Randy and Joy have an amazing time. And they relive that one great moment they had that summer. And I gotta say, this moment really made me tear up. My Name is Earl wasn't just your normal show. It was a show that actually taught you how to be a good person. It was a show with an amazing cast and so many tearful moments. Hey, without this show, I would have never discovered my belief in karma. The idea of doing good things is a system that has made me a better person. Anybody that I've ever met, I will always be nice and friendly. Karma has a way of changing someone to be a good person. My Name's Earl has taught me that when things are rough and you're feeling down, the people you made an impact on will be there for you to lift you up. And with that being said,
Which one of you is from NBC? Oh, that's for canceling My Name is Earl!
That was 8 network presidents ago. I loved it.
my name is Ramen. You have a good night.
So why are you in here? Stuff. He can't even go into the fucking pocket. Fucking pocket. Not going in. Fuck. You look like a Power Ranger, like. This is my final form.
Choose the super cool cop. It always gets the bad guy. That's me. It brings a delicious assortment of sweet delights.